Lucas Dolan.
Here.
Steve Corbin-Conla.
Here.
Stephen Lutz. I'm here. Alex Klisko.
Here.
Jeremiah Sudfeld.
Present.
James Radia.
Here.
Rachel Marzon. Alyssa Heim.
Here.
Greg Bueno. Kyle Kwame is Dan Molitor. Victoria Barassi.
Here.
Liz Casperson.
Here.
Rachel Esford is excused. Lautau.
I think he's going to be late.
Oh, Amina Mose.
Here.
Ellen Putos.
Here.
Amani Cowell. Libby Otto.
I'm here.
Alex Arana.
Present.
Tate McAllen. Colleen Shower.
Here.
Kenny.
Hey.
Kenny.
No.
No.
All right.
We'll move on to executive reports.
Alright, well, I've had quite a few midterm papers this week, so other than working with Wendy to try and plan the 100 New Influence tonight, I haven't had a lot over the past week that I've accomplished. Other than that, last week I was able to have lunch with the provost, and hopefully that's going to turn into a monthly lunch, so that will be a good place to kind of voice some concerns. If anyone wants to talk to me, maybe get a schedule of when that's going to be happening. I can pass those along to him. The other thing, we had a really productive executive board meeting last Wednesday. I think we kind of set a vision of where we want to go for the rest of the year, and so now kind of have a clear direction of where we're going to go. So I think that it's going to be a good rest of the semester.
Excellent. For my executive report, I met with SAC last week. Basically, the conversation was how do we essentially bring student athletes essentially back into the conversation. So they're kind of one of the groups of people that are being somewhat marginalized in our struggle essentially to include all people in the overall conversation when it comes to Husc. So one of the things that came out of that is one, we're looking into how do we make small improvements essentially to the weight room. How do we make it so athletes can / or want to attend student org events and things of that kind of nature. And that's all I have to report. Great.
So for my last week's EAC, we talked about a couple of conference requests, and we defined that this week's EAC is going to be more about bylaws and things that we have been wanting to do for the last year. We haven't. So we're going to dedicate one meeting with a member of PAC, hopefully, to just start to write a rough draft of what the bylaws and some amendments we want to do for the bylaws in terms of EAC. So in terms of business, we also have, and I guess this will be for the next week, we have a couple of contingencies and a couple, I think they're conference requests. So we are busy.
Melissa.
I met with my committee met last Tuesday, and we went over all the student orders constitutions that were turned in. I think there was 7 that hadn't turned them in, and so I met with Jenny and Stephen to see how budgeting will go with that. Since then, I've had 3 or 4 email me theirs, and they have to till Thursday, otherwise their budgets get frozen. We also have to talk with Wendy to see if we have contacts where you have the right email addresses and stuff like that. My committee also fixed grammatical errors and typos in the Constitution and bylaws. That was a big thing that needed to be accomplished, and it was done. It was great. I'm going to meet with EAC and hopefully Nico this week, if not at the beginning of next week, to discuss attendance and the EAC's bylaws. One more thing is, I forget. It was something important, but I'll
Nico.
Right, so I have bought new supplies for the Husc office, and we now have envelopes, whiteout, all that type of stuff. I've also been posting our office hours and committee meetings on the Husc office window, so if you ever want to see who's going to be in the office, when and what time, along with when the committee meetings are, just go to the Husc office. It should be all on there, along with the website. I was supposed to have a meeting with Alumni Relations last week, but they had to cancel due to various things, so we're working on rescheduling that, and I also attended the Tobacco Use Task Force Committee meeting about 2 weeks ago. We've kind of discussed a variety of things, including defining what exactly would be banned if you were to ban tobacco. So would it just be cigarettes, would it be e-cigarettes, would be banned tobacco as well. So we're just trying to have that discussion.
Stephen, this is not attendance. So Greg, do you know if Stephen has anything that he'd like to add? As the closest working member. Stephen?
Can you get back to me?
Sure.
He's gonna be here, so he might come in while that's in.
Okay. Jetty?
Last week, me and my committee met and we already started discussing the all-our meeting. It's gonna be the first week of November. I'm still waiting on a couple people to respond to when is it good, the link. So if you haven't filled out that little survey so I know when it's more convenient for you, I'm still waiting on some people to set the date exactly. Besides that, we will have food in the all-our meeting. Again, everybody is welcome. And also, I'm still looking for one more nominee for that at-large position. I have one nominee that was nominated and she accepted, but I'm looking for one more. So please, 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 and if you know anybody that's interested, please let me know. Also, I'm working with student orgs, build their constitution if they don't have one, or overlooking them with them. So if you don't have a constitution, please contact me so I can help you get one.
Alyssa?
Yes, that was what I was going to say. Example student org constitutions are in Wendy's office. So for any student org that is unsure, just go in there and they're actually printed on everything.
So,
Yes.
Jeremiah?
I like seeing people's faces, so I'm going to be standing up here every time I give my report. My committee met last week. BER, we met on Thursday, and we kind of went over a lot of, I guess, brief overview things such as, for example, the duties and responsibilities as a representative for the different positions that they hold, as well as the monthly constituents meeting, the town hall meeting at the end of the semester, as well as the monthly meetings that the class representatives will be having with their class, basically. We talked about things like that, different things that arose during the capital improvements and campus policy revision proposals and discussions. Is there was something around campus, a rumor, I guess, about moving the bishop or something of that sort. So we discussed about that, and we don't know whether or not that's true. So I believe Dan said he's going to be taking that, going to be talking to Dean Siegberg about that during his meeting. We also talked about someone that sorry if I said that, yeah. We also talked about different things such as painting. There was a student that brought a proposal to one of the first tier reps, I believe it was in the most, about painting the wall that's right by the Heights, doing more of like a mural slash graffiti artwork. If you know the wall that's right by the parking lots area by the Schilling dorm. So that was another thing that came up, and also we talked about, I believe it was the senior representative, Alex, that brought up expansion of Greek life, and we started that discussion also. Those are different things that we're discussing about right now in BER, and that's what we've been up to. So, yeah. And we also have 2 representatives that we approved in BER. The first one was a junior representative, Kyle Evans, so he's going to be coming forth later on today, and also a senior representative, Hallie Sevilla, correct? Yes. So both of them will be coming up today, so you can ask questions. That way we can approve them. So, yeah.
And Rachel?
Good morning. I'll try and keep it brief. As always, there are mugs in the back, so if you don't have one, please take one. My PRC committee will be having our first meeting tomorrow morning. Normally they will be 7 a.m. in Anderson Forum, but tomorrow we're going to give you a half-hour time, so it'll be 7:30. It'll be a short, brief meeting. I'm also looking into business cards and
Informational Technology Services Advisory Committee yesterday. I will be going through that in detail later on today in General Assembly. Also, representatives who have not sent me your contact information and picture, please do so. I have to send out new emails to the representatives that just came aboard with us, but I will send out probably another batch of emails to those people who I have not received information from, and that's it.
I have been busy with the 100 Who Influence event, which is this evening, so hopefully all of you who plan on attending have RSVP'd. We are maxed out on seats at this point, so hopefully you've RSVP'd by now. And then also just one thing I would really encourage you to do, because I'm hearing back from quite a few students who said that they never got the email from me, but then when they checked their spam folder, they found the email in their spam folder. So I strongly encourage you to periodically check your spam folder to make sure that email messages you may be getting from faculty and staff are not being routed into your spam or trash or junk folders, because you could be missing out on some very important information.
I was going to come up with some kind of wisecrack comment about the bishop is being moved to like the president's office or something, but it's really not true. So. I really am, just to save the meeting, I really am not aware of any thought or move to move the bishop. I honestly haven't heard anything, but I guess I can check if this is a plan to see if there is something out there that I'm not aware of. So.
I heard about it too for the first time during the meeting. So.
From who?
Yeah. From him.
Me. What?
Okay, if you know something I don't, please share, okay? So,
no,
other than that, I've had several people continue to call me and talk with me about the travel policy, and we'll keep working through nuances, and good questions have come up, some things I think that weren't thought about in the development of this policy, so we're having to work with those kinds of things and work at it. So unless you have questions for me, that's kind of really all we needed to share.
Steve, would you like to report?
Yeah, sure. I really don't have much to report this week. Yesterday, I finally received a list of new student order accounts, as well as the account created for the Husc scholarship. So I'm going to be getting money put into the Husc scholarship account, and other than that, summer contingencies being cleared out and continued.
Alex, would you like to give a report?
Yes, okay. So yesterday I met with ITSAC, the Informational Technology Services Advisory Committee, and a lot of the items we went over in business was actually very pertinent to what I do and pertinent to other student organizations across campus and other departments across campus. One of the first piece of business we went over was this new mobile device policy and how organizations and departments go about purchasing new technological equipment such as iPads, or if somebody in the department needed an iPhone or a laptop and such. There's this new program that's going to come about sometime this semester called Tech Select, which is basically a leasing program, and every 3 years you get that same piece of technology, but if you're leasing it, you get the newest updated version after 3 years. I have some problems with this new policy that's kind of coming through because theoretically, all the money that Husc has, all the money that these student orgs chartered through Husc have, is money provided by Hamline, and therefore all chartered orgs and Husc should be going through Hamline to purchase said technology if we're doing things by the book. But this new program, IT wants people to wait on this new program to go through to purchase any technological devices, which I have some problems with in my role, and some student organizations might have as well. So I'm going to be contacting some managers of IT concerning this issue. I have some problems with it. So I'm going to be looking into it, see what I can do, because I need to take care of some stuff within the next month, and I can't really wait until the end of the semester, otherwise we'll put Husc a lot farther back. Yes?
Could you elaborate on just some brief examples of why it's not in our best interest to wait to?
So, okay, so one thing that the executive board would like to do is we want to, may I go ahead about this? So we want to take surveys of the student body. We want to take surveys. The best way to do this is not tabling at a desk and sitting there and waiting for people to come to us, like we've done with elections in the past. We found that one of the best methods to do so would be to walk around Anderson, walk around campus with iPads, with the form, with the survey on the iPad, and going directly to students, engaging them in conversation, and then asking them if they would take this short 1 minute, 2 minute survey. So using the technological fund that I, as the technology coordinator, had, it is in our best interest to purchase maybe 2 iPads for the use of surveying. Nothing beyond that at this point. That's what the iPads are going to be used for. So that's one example where we want to get that ball rolling relatively quickly, not at the end of the semester, not next semester. So with this new tech select policy, it might put us a little bit behind. So I'm going to be looking into it, see what student organizations can do concerning that. Because honestly, I would like to go through the proper channels for doing these things, like everybody should, and doing it through Hamline, especially if it's Hamline money. But also time is of the essence with these things, especially if we only have a year together, this General Assembly. Some other things we went over for Google. Google Groups just passed through, so Google Groups will be able to use by faculty and staff, and I believe by students as well. Basically, what ends up happening is you create, it's relatively simple. You create a group, and you can email and collaborate with them through Gmail. Nothing incredibly fancy. But also, since that has gone through with the link between Google and Hamline, Google Sites is going to be coming very soon, actually, probably within this next year. And they're going to be figuring out policies for student organizations to create their own Google site, which would be actually quite extraordinary if each organization could manage and have their own Google site. And we currently, Husc uses a WordPress, so sometime in probably the near future, probably within a year or two, we will go from a WordPress system to a Google site because Hamline has officially gone Google this past year. Also coming within the next year, hopefully, is a thing called spanning backup on Google. Does anybody know what that is? Spanning? Basically, if you delete anything on your Google Drive, spanning will save it. So if you have anything that you do on your Google Drive will be backed up. And it's like, I went on mine and it located documents from last May that I deleted. So it's an amazing cloud system that can save documents and everything. And that's why, Hamline went Google. That's a good reason that we did as well.
Delete things ever.
Well, you could, but there's a backup.
If you want deleted,
Yeah.
I don't know all the details. I was just told about this.
There's no such
Kenny.
thing as deleted.
Okay. It's just a backup. Just a backup. Anyways, one more thing. Did anybody read the Oracle article that came out? I think it was in the first edition of the Oracle concerning social media and Google, and it's not being secured. Did anybody read that article? Towards the back. I think it was a columnist that wrote it. So we actually spoke about this. Nobody else in the committee knew what Mark, the head of the committee, was talking about, so I kind of had to fill them in because I read the article. Basically, it was talking about how nothing on the internet is secure, don't use Google, but for some reason they stated that Facebook and Twitter is secure, which is not true. So I kind of spoke to the ethics of the author himself, because I've read some of the articles he's had in the past, and they have been a little very strongly worded and not entirely correct. But if anybody's worried, between Google and Hamline, we have a very strong contract, and all the information on your Google Drive and in your Gmail is 100% secured and private, not for the public eye. Anybody have any questions about anything that I talked about?
When you were talking about the tech select as it affects polling, Is it conceivable that if it's not possible to get that technology in time, that we could perhaps use paper methods while
Use paper methods, and that would be relatively easy as well. It just, we'd have to put more time of looking at the paper and adding them up and putting them on a spreadsheet or something. But there's nothing stopping an organization or department from spending money on an iPad. I mean, today, theoretically, I could go out and buy an iPad for us. I'm not going to do that because I would prefer not to. So I'm going to be talking to IT. That's actually one of the bigger issues is I want to see what we can do before taking an action. And I'll be talking to Mark Conrad and John Hickson in IT. Good question.
There'd just be one other, there are sometimes some nuances around our survey work that really need to be connected to our institutional research. And sometimes they can be an ally or a help to us. When we want to do some kind of survey work, maybe it's not walking, but it's actually some survey things that they can help us with, sampling and questions and getting things out. So just to throw that out there, to let you know that they would work with us in this organization to do any kind of survey things we would.
And it's relatively easy. I went on their site. If you just look up, go to the Hamline website and type in research, and you'll find the link. And you can put in a request and kind of start that discourse concerning some kind of survey or some kind of research you'd like to do. And I was actually planning on potentially using that for us surveys. It's a good resource for everyone to use, I think. Good. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Seeing as how we have no unfinished business, we'll launch straight into new business. First thing up is the commuter committee. Melissa?
Okay. I don't think Jeff is here. I wasn't supposed to be doing this, but I'll be right along. Okay, so there's going to be 9 members of the committee. Me, Evelyn, Tate, and Jeff met. And they said 9, odd number. Jeff will be the chairperson or the secretary. He won't have a vote unless he's tied. There's 2 commuter Husc members, Rachel and Evelyn. 2 non-commuters, Tate and Kim. Kim's not here. 2 undergrads, Victoria and Mark. And then 2 non-commuter undergrads, Katie and Alex. They're going to have all their research done by December 3rd. And so if we have, so that GA, I don't know what date that is, but the next GA, we can vote on whether or not we would like to have a commuter spot. December 3rd. What do we think? Any questions? Yes.
The thing that to me seems a little bit odd about this is that the goals are very specific. And it seems like if we're creating a committee, we would want to leave it sort of open-ended as far as figuring out what the best solutions are, not going in it with specific solutions in mind. So I'm just curious, anyone who maybe knows more about this than I do, if there's already an idea of this is what we're going to do, and then the purpose of the committee is just to create arguments for these things, or is it really just to see about what are the appropriate options? I don't think I can answer them.
Yeah, and I'm not in the committee, but I know I talked to the Husc members about this who are in the committee, and they're very open-ended about it. They don't have an opinion on it yet, which is what we want. We don't want them to go into it having a specific opinion already. And so then they'll be able to form their opinion based on their research. Jeff really wants to have a commuter rep. I think we all know that. So I don't know that. Evelyn, no, do we want that to work because they were not with it?
Yeah, I think when we met, we were just kind of trying to get an idea of what we would represent to what we would present to Husc. We don't have any specific goals, but we just wanted to lay out an example of some of the things that we could do for the committee.
Did you guys as a committee come up with these 4 goals?
It was only
No, the committee has not been made yet. This is what we're voting on. We're voting on if we should create the commuter committee to research if we should have, what are the benefits and pros of commuter rep.
finish my thought. So I would have to agree with Lucas that goals for said committee shouldn't be created until the committee meets, and then they create the goals for the committee that they're in.
Okay.
I don't know who wrote that, if it was one person.
No, so me, Evelyn, Kate, and Jeff
Okay.
met and decided what community committee would do, basically, because we can't just say, hey, we want this community committee, you guys vote on it, say yes, you want it, and then we have no place to go for them. So this is kind of just a starting point of what they would do, what they would research. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes.
So I think maybe it would be a good idea, in line with what I said and what Alex said, if I move to amend to strike out this entire goal section, and maybe we can just replace it with goals to research options for improving commuters' participation in student government, or something broad like that, rather than having like a 4-point plan, like Alex said, that was created without the committee having ever met. I think that that's a much better.
So you want what, to research?
I'd like to strike out all the
This-
existing goals.
Okay, this isn't a formal document either, so it's not something that.
The point of this currently is just to vote on creating the committee.
Yeah,
The
this,
goals can be scratched.
Yeah.
Before time doesn't get voted about.
yeah,
Okay, well, it's up on the screen and we're voting on it, so I saw it as a formal.
okay.
That was where I was coming from.
Alan?
Is this a committee, I mean, this may be a bit, picky, but is this a committee, then once you establish it, if you establish it today, that it's there forever?
No, December 3rd they'll end.
So maybe you want to, maybe you want to call this a task force, which usually has its purpose only temporary existence with,
Right, it's actually a special committee or a task force, there's.
Right.
I'm not sure, but aren't committees created by another committee called ad hoc committees?
No, they're created by PAC. PAC created committees.
Right. So PAC created another committee, an ad hoc committee.
It is an ad hoc committee with name. It's still why it's special, it's a task force. Any other questions? Is there a motion on the floor?
I motioned before to strike the goals section.
second.
Okay.
You want to just delete that then?
Yeah.
You have to vote on it.
Yeah, but
This isn't
it's
a
not
formal
formal
document.
at all, so they can
don't
just
have to
delete it.
actually- Yeah.
Yeah, completely.
So what would you like it to say? To research
What was the
the
suggestion?
benefits
Okay.
and consequences of a,
Of a commuter road.
What I proposed was that we say to research options for increasing commuter involvement in student government.
Mr. Husc?
Yes.
Yes, are the committee members subject to change? Like I'm just curious how the members that are proposed for these positions were chosen is, and if there is any flexibility. And say someone else wanted to join.
So, finish.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have the power as PAC chair to, I basically select people to be the committee, be part of every committee. And so I selected the Husc members, and then Jeff gave me suggestions basically for the undergrad commuter, non-commuters that are not Husc members. So he basically went on and found people who was interested in the topic, who hadn't had an opinion yet, who was interested in how commuters are, what they're doing for the school. And so basically I selected them as commuter undergrads and the non-commuter undergrads. So these are the people for the committee, so when we vote on this, these are the people for the committee. We can't add.
Some things to keep in mind. So Jeff picked the non-Husc members. Just some observations on the board. 3 out of the 4 are very close to him because they're NSMs. So he didn't reach out that far to grab them. Tori lives about 4 blocks south of Hamline. Mark lives across the street from Hamline. So in my book, those aren't true commuters. Like I don't consider myself a commuter. Yeah. Okay.
So is it that you would like to see a
No,
broader?
it's just observation. Just throwing out there.
I agree with Alex. I mean, I live a 5-minute drive away, and I don't even consider myself a commuter because I am more available at like the drop of a hat if it's needed. Whereas Kyle is a commuter from Edinburgh Grove, Cottage Grove, and so if a meeting was called then or if an event was held then, you know, he definitely has a longer commute than I do, and his the problems that he has as a commuter are vastly different than mine, which are vastly different from Nico, who lives right across the street. So I agree with Alex that there isn't a lot of diversity when it comes to how far people are living from campus, what type of commuter they are, because there are different types of commuters, what they're involved in overall. So for me personally, I would like to see more representatives that have a wider range of like commuter times and commuter types.
I just want to remind the floor that this is just completely a proposal. Nothing is set in stone because we haven't even voted to be a committee yet, so.
But if we vote on this, those are the selected committee members?
No, this is not an official document, so that it can still be edited.
I think it's a good idea. I'd like to move that we delay this until we have an official document because I don't want to vote on something that I don't even know what I'm voting at. So I don't know if anyone else agrees with that, but this seems like we're just approving a committee, but we have this on the screen. What does that really mean? I'm not comfortable voting on something that I don't know what I'm voting for.
Was that a motion?
I motion.
To table.
Until we have an official document.
Okay.
Second. I have a question. Am I responsible for making this official document because I don't know anything about the community or what their responsibilities are? So we need to kind of talk about that also.
No particular person is responsible for it. Anyone can come up with it and make a proposal.
Is it possible to amend your motion and instead of tabling, committing?
Yes, it is possible.
Okay. Would you accept that? Instead of tabling, that we commit for this to be a report for the next meeting?
Yeah, it would just have to be specified who it would be committed to.
Then it would be okay. You would be okay with this.
Sure. We're not meeting this week. She guys have 100 room first. That's tonight, and then we don't have meeting spots for those locations. So we're not meeting next Tuesday.
I also moved to amend the previous motion that we had, which was about tabling this and also restructuring the goals, because I don't necessarily feel comfortable about just researching the options of commuter involvements within Husc, but increasing commuter involvements on campus, I would say, because that was the main thing that Jeff talked about when it came to General Assembly. It wasn't necessarily directed in his presentation at commuters need to be more involved within Husc. It was more of commuters were outliers within the community, not just the Hamline Undergraduate Student Congress. So exploring more about what this community can be able to do in terms of increasing community involvement on campus rather than just within us. And then from that, we can move forward to seeing whether or not we need a representative as a commuter to represent the views of commuters, basically. So
would you like to propose a motion to table it until a more formal document can be created with formal goals and formal committee members?
yes.
Second.
All in favor? Please raise your hand. All opposed? Motion passes. The next was the MPERG representative position. Essentially, that is just someone to sit on the MPERG committee. If you don't know, MPERG is it 4 years? Is it 2? Now,
Three.
Is it 3? Neither. Every 3 years, MPERG basically commits to having a survey to vote into whether or not they are allowed to take a chunk essentially out of your tuition to fund themselves. This is that 3rd year, and Greg has volunteered to be the representative for that position.
I have to choose one, and I would
Excellent. So Greg is volunteered for the position selected by the PAC chair. Finally, if I could have the new representatives come down.
We have to approve. Greg.
Yeah, we have to approve.
Okay.
Motion to approve, Greg.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. All opposed? That passes as well. Now, if I could have the new representatives come down. You could both basically say who you are and explain your interest in this position.
Sure, okay. I'm Hallie Sevilla. I'm a senior, obviously. I applied to be the senior class representative. I've always wanted to get involved with Husc, but I've never really had an opportunity to do so. For the first 3 years, I was really involved with MPERG, actually. I was the environmental task force leader. So I know the power that the students, have, and as a student myself, I think it's important to be involved. And I don't know, I just have, time in my schedule now. And I thought it was a good time to do something.
All right, I'm Kyle Evans. I'm a career, I'm a junior, and quite frankly, on your theme earlier today, I want to get more involved in campus, and that's why I decided to select Husc. I'm a member of the Student Alumni Board right now, but I'm looking for a little more involvement on campus. I started seeing all the cool stuff that my friends in Husc did. I said, hey, why not me?
Jeremiah, the chair.
I would just like to say that we talked about both of them during our last meeting, and we voted and we approved both of them as representatives, both as a junior representative and as a senior representative. And we have to discuss about it basically as a General Assembly. And then if the General Assembly approves both of these individuals, then they actually become the junior and senior representative. So I guess that's why they're in front of all of you guys today. So if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask them that you have on your mind, that would more of, I guess, help you make your decision as to whether or not you would like to vote for them, then you can ask that right now, I would say.
First, we'll start with Hallie. Are there any discussion, conversation for Hallie?
You said that you want to join Husc now because you have free time or you have more time open.
Yeah.
What if your schedule becomes more conflicted? Will you put Husc in front of the others, or will you put the others in front of Husc like you have the past 3 years?
Right. Well, as a senior, I kind of know how the school years play out. And as a senior, I kind of have a set schedule, so I know the time that I have dedicated to each thing. I'm obviously taking classes, I am working, I'm interning, so it's kind of all set in stone in regards to the workload that I have, etc. So I know that I'd have time, otherwise I wouldn't have applied.
Alex.
What are you most excited to contribute to Student Congress?
Just voicing what I feel, the students are feeling as well, just because I'm a part of the student body. I think that Husc does a lot of positive things around campus, and I'm just excited to be involved with the changes.
Any further conversation? Alex.
What is your favorite book?
My favorite book? Would it be too... Well, I guess Catcher in the Rye is probably my favorite book. I almost said Harry Potter, so that's...
Okay. Is there a motion on the floor to approve Hallie as the senior representative?
I motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Congratulations, Wilma. Is there any conversation? Kyle? Questions? Dan?
Doesn't student alumni board meet during this time on Tuesdays?
Yes, so that's gonna have to go by the wayside, sadly.
So you
But
put
don't
us
worry.
first.
I'll put us first.
Rich?
Kyle, can you say and spell your last name, please?
K-Y-L-E space.
I got it.
Kyle. E-V-A-N-S.
Yes, thank you.
Excellent. Jeremiah?
I guess, what are your goals for the year, I would say, as a junior representative?
As a junior representative, bringing the demands of my constituency to the student congress, obviously, and generically. I mean, whatever I figure out the students want, I want to bring. Whatever improvements they want on campus, I want to bring it there. I don't know what those are yet, but I'll find out.
Okay.
What's your favorite color? Favorite colors?
Good man.
Lucas?
Move to approve Kyle Evans as the junior representative.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Well, thank you. For the open forum discussion today, we'll try to keep it brief, or we're talking about the 100 who influence. So in that regards, we have brought up the questions that will be sitting at, no, those are not the questions. Can everyone read that?
Mm-mm.
More?
One
A
more.
little bit. Get one more, there we go.
Okay. So we brought in essentially the questions that are going to be sitting at everyone's tables. The idea with this is that we want you to be the most informed group of people sitting at the table, partially because we expect you to be, well, student leaders sitting at the table, not to mention that everyone there already is a student leader. But are there any questions that anyone has immediately that, for the people that are going to the 100 who influence, are there questions that you have that we can perhaps answer here and now in front of you before we get there tonight? Steven?
It's kind of confusing because you have like trustees and then you have something that should be asked of the trustees, right? But it looks like the trustees are the ones saying it, and then for students, it looks like the students are the ones saying it. Right.
Yeah.
I think this is not the official document. This is something that Corbin and I just came up with before from last year's. But I sent in a list of changes to Wendy, and one of the changes is that, and I'm thinking that she probably did this, is that it's going to say questions for trustees, and it's going to be reorganized into two sections, questions for trustees and questions for students, because I agree that is really confusing. Cool. So it's been reorganized, if I'm not mistaken.
Alex?
I've asked this question before, but I've never been 100% clear, and people keep asking me about it, and as a member of the executive board of Husc, people come to me and ask these questions. How are the people chosen to be invited? And who does that? Because I've had that answered, and then I was told that was wrong, and I thought I was right, and I'm not, and I'm not sure what the requirements are. Can anybody answer?
Jenny?
Well, I've talked about this, and basically if you're a student leader or if faculty or professor has seen you as a student leader, they probably invited you or someone to invite you. That's how I was invited last year.
But NSM, all NSMs were invited, and if like that's not like a leader on campus, then I really don't know what it is.
Lucas?
I guess ultimately, Wendy has sort of like a basic formula, but then ultimately, Corbin and myself have approval over the invitations. We didn't go through every single person, But yeah, it's not guaranteed that just because you have a certain position that you'll be invited to the event.
Stephen?
Let me add something.
It was like, there's 34, 35.
I think if you added that many guaranteed spots to the formula that Wendy already has, which is probably the Husc Exec Board and some other members of SALT, that would be over half of your members already invited. So like we really wouldn't have that many other people invited.
Lucas?
I don't want to get into a lengthy discussion about how people are invited, but I will say that part of the goal, along with what Stephen said, is to get a broad representation of campus, and not just to get to the same people who always go to these type of things. So that's part of what goes into it.
Any other questions?
Is it required to be there the entire time? Because I'm a first year and my 5-SOM professor is requiring us to stay at the major decisions fair, which is conflicting with this.
Alex?
So the major decisions fair, I went there last year.
Well, we
have
have
an
to write
idea
a paper on it.
Right, but you have an idea of which majors you want to pick, right? You go to those tables and you talk to them. It won't take 2 hours, 2.5 hours to do that. So it shouldn't be a problem.
And just being clear, the 100 New Influence is not a required event. As a Husc member, it is a privilege to be invited. Like, that's one thing, is that if you're a member of Husc, you are invited. So I said before, a certain position doesn't guarantee you go. That's with the exception of being part of Husc, since it is our event. So you're not required to be there, but it is a great event and it's a privilege to be there. So if you're a few minutes late because of that, that's not a big deal. But I would highly encourage you to come for as long as you can.
Should I wear a tie or
Yes.
formal dress?
Board of
Well,
Trustees member.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, at least this. Like, it's a minimum. Like, I'm wearing a tie, button up, and a sweater, and just fancy dress shoes.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Well, I'm going to ask.
You know, I would just say, kind of from your question, that the formula, I guess, for who gets invited has changed often over the history of this course. But I think Wendy, as Lucas said, Wendy in the last few years has kind of put together some type of a system by which, members of Husc and others are invited. And it isn't one of these events where you get to invite yourself. And I think that has been some confusion in past years, caused some issues. It really is this is a Husc event, and so it's for Husc members, and then the other folks that you all working with Wendy have decided would be important to have. This group changes. Sometimes it's about who has registered organization with the Student Activities Office. If you're not registered, you're probably not considered. So, I mean, those are some factors that come into play. But I think it's a viable and worthwhile question to ask Wendy a little bit more about, perhaps in a future time. She's not here anymore today, about what this is, and is there any questions or any suggestions you might make after today. I think, again, it's changed every year, and in some years we have an awful lot of first years, and some years we have none, and an awful lot of seniors. I think it depends on who accepts invitations and who is part of that formula. But it's just been fluid. It's changed a lot over these times of doing this. So it's a great question to ask, though, I think. And to get some clarity, so you can answer it.
Any other questions?
Do you guys have the number on how many are attending?
Over 100 have been.
I mean trustees. Sorry.
Lucas?
I think last I checked with Jane, who's the president's assistant or chief staff, there was about 7 to 8 trustee members, and then there was 7 to 8 members of the president's staff, for a total of about 14 to 15 administrative guests. There's enough for each table. There's enough to have a trustee at each table, and at some of the tables, like a vice president.
Any other questions? Cool. Then we go straight to announcements. The 100 Influences tonight at 6. If you're a part of Husc, please show up. This is part of one of the bigger things that we do. This is one of the It's one of the rare opportunities we're going to have to come face-to-face with a trustees member. So please come, dress appropriately, and ask your questions. Then there's a diversity subcommittee. Victoria still needs 3 representatives from Husc. If you're interested, or if she has come to talk to you, please go to the committee and be a part of it. It's important. Victoria, would you like to add anything else to that?
Yeah, so the Diversity Summit is coming up on November 17th, and it'd be really great if the 3 Husc positions can be filled as soon as possible so we can get rolling on finalizing what's going to be happening on that day. The MA side of the committee has already put together a lot of the details, and so we just really need to put the schedule together and start PRing for it.
What's the level of time commitment?
Probably an hour, hour and a half-ish. It won't take that long unless we decide to like scrap everything and redo everything that we've already put together. So we would be meeting at a time that's most convenient for most of the committee to meet.
If there aren't enough members going from Husc, is it possible to find members just in the student body, just so that they're both?
The Diversity Summit is something that, as the multicultural representative to Husc, it's my responsibility to put the committee together, and it's supposed to be a collaboration between Husc and the Multicultural Alliance.
Would we go to you if we're interested in that?
Yes.
I just want to reiterate, Victoria, if you could repeat the date for everyone, and everyone can put that in your calendar, because if you're a Husc member, this is a required event, and if you're not there, it's going to be marked on your attendance. So
Sunday, November 17th.
What time?
Just block out 11 to 4:30.
Are there any other announcements?
Actually, I have an announcement. HASA, I'm not sure if all of you guys know, it's Hamline African Student Association. And we have promoter night this Friday, and it would be awesome if everybody can show up. And if you have any questions, you can ask me or Jeremiah. 6 to 10 this coming Friday. It's going to be in the Bush Hall.
Any other announcements? Beautiful. All in favor? All opposed?